I noticed you've got broken glasses. Is it because you're just too lazy to go get your glasses changed, or are you running short of money?
Kacamata ini untuk lihat rakyat kok. Cukup kok, ya kan?
On New Year's Eve, Jakarta got rain. Lots of rain. 37 centimeters of it over 24 hours. One expert told me it was like taking a bucket of water and pouring it over a square meter patch of ground. The result was some of the worst flooding in more than a decade. 60 people are thought to have died. Nearly 500,000 either had to flee their homes or were stranded. Last week, activists filed a class action lawsuit in Jakarta court on behalf of 243 people against Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan. He's accused of failing to prepare for the floods that come almost every year at this time. One of the lawyers of that suit is Tigor Nainggolan. Back in 2000, he started an NGO offering legal services for the poor. They're based in a cramped, lower middle-class neighborhood. Motor scooters buzz by his front door. His firm consists of 13 staff, including 5 lawyers, and goes by a playful acronym, FACTA. It's an Indonesian word that means fact. When I look closely at Pak Tigor, I see his glasses are cracked, just at the top left corner, out of sight, but it's gotta bother him. And for whatever reason, he won't go get another pair. I caught up with Pak Tigor at FACTA's offices.
Okay, can I first ask, why a lawsuit?
Selalu saja banyak perdebatan ya, memperdebatkan banjir, dampak banjir, semua tidak akan pernah mengakui bahwa dia harusnya bertanggung jawab. Kalau kita lihat konteks banjir Jakarta, tentu yang bertanggung jawab adalah Gubernur DKI Jakarta. Anies selalu mengatakan saya bukan yang bertanggung jawab. Sementara data kami, Anies bersama aparat Pemprov DKI Jakarta tidak buat persiapan apa-apa ketika mau banjir. Kalau ada persiapan seperti melakukan early warning system, ya peringatan dini, lalu membangun emergency response yang baik, saya pikir masalahnya nggak begitu berat ya seperti pengalaman yang dialami warga korban banjir kemarin.
Tigor said the lawsuit is about reminding voters that it's the Jakarta's governor's job to respond to the flood and minimize any impact. If there had been adequate preparations before the rains came, if the early warning system had worked, for example, the floods wouldn't have had the same devastating impact.
But don't you think that this is something that should be pursued during election? And I ask this because Anies campaigned on a policy of going slow when it comes to moving people from slums, especially those along the river edges. Well, the unfortunate byproduct of that is that we may still get floods. But he was elected with a very big majority on this no tears approach to resettlement of the poor. He has a mandate for this, and the people voted for this. Don't you think that they should have a chance to have another say at the next election?
Iya, kalau kita lihat kan memang dia kampanye, tidak akan ada penggusuran katanya kan. Itu soal kampanye dia. Tapi kan juga dia kampanye bahwa isu utama salah satunya masalah Jakarta juga adalah banjir. Ya, artinya dia sudah tahu sebetulnya Jakarta ini daerah banjir. Harusnya dia tahu bagaimana menghadapi kalau Jakarta akan ada banjir. Karena banjir itu bisa diprediksi. Ya, bisa diantisipasi kedatangannya seperti apa. Itu dia punya tanggung jawab hukum sebagai gubernur. Melakukan persiapan supaya warganya lebih siap menghadapi banjir. Itu yang nggak dilakukan oleh dia. Dia lalai dalam melakukan kewajiban hukumnya. Nah, salah satu cara ya kita gugat bahwa dia lalai. Dia tidak mempersiapkan Jakarta menghadapi banjir pada tanggal 1 Januari lalu. Itu yang kami lakukan. Kenapa dasarnya menghukum atau menggugat begitu?
While Anies campaigned against evictions, he also acknowledged the risk that floods pose to the city. He is legally responsible for preparing the city in event of emergencies like the floods. But Tigor said Anies didn't do that, and that makes him negligent.
You have to prove that the negligence is linked to the flood, that his policy or lack of it is responsible for the flooding that we saw over New Year's. So how do you go about proving that?
Hujan itu tidak dapat dikontrol, tapi kedatangannya bisa diprediksi. Kalau banjir itu bisa dikontrol karena produk manusia. Anies selalu berkata, itu dari hulu, dari Bogor. Air dari Bogor itu butuh waktu 8 jam untuk sampai di Jakarta. Artinya itu harusnya sudah ada waktu persiapan yang harusnya bisa dilakukan oleh Anies bersama Pemprov DKI Jakarta mempersiapkan warga. Bendungan Katulampa Bogor itu dari 3 hari sebelumnya sudah mengatakan siaga 3. Gubernur-gubernur sebelumnya kalau musim banjir begini, awal-awal musim banjir, mereka udah lakukan persiapan, latihan-latihan dengan masyarakat daerah-daerah yang berpotensi banjir. Early warning system ini tidak dilakukan oleh Anies. Ini kan kewajiban hukum harusnya mempersiapkan. Itu satu tadi saya bilang, early warning system. Emergency response. Harusnya juga sudah dipersiapkan jauh sebelum. Misalnya apa? Siapkan titik evakuasi. Gubernur sebelumnya itu sudah jelas. Misalnya Kampung Pulau ini, Kampung Pulau Jatinegara. Mereka udah siapkan evakuasi tuh. Ada sekolah di sana, di pinggir jalan lebih tinggi. Itu disiapkan. Aparat Pemprov udah disiapkan di lokasi membantu untuk evakuasi. Ini nggak ada. Makanya kalau kita lihat banjir kemarin, itu kan banyak warga akhirnya mengungsinya ke pinggir jalan rel, kereta api seperti Rawabuaya. Tidur di halte Transjakarta ya kan di Rawabuaya. Kemarin kawan-kawan di sini kan kita punya anggota di Cakung Cilincing ya, Jakarta Utara. Itu tidurnya di kontainer. Bahkan hari pertama tuh nggak dapat makan. Ya nggak ada evakuasi. Masyarakat evakuasi sendiri.
Maybe little can be done about the rain, Tigor says. But then he goes into a long explanation about why officials should have known in advance that floods were on their way. The main dam in Bogor, about 60 kilometers away, had already been at a level 3 alert. That's level 3 out of 5, and it was at that level for days. It meant that it was nearly full, so that when the rains came on New Year's Eve, it would need to release water before long. That surge, though, takes 8 hours to reach Jakarta, more than enough time to sound a warning. Past governments would set aside evacuation centers like schools on high ground. Tigor said that didn't happen. Instead, thousands of people clamored to train tracks, bus stations. They went without food for long periods of time. And you have to remember, this is in the wee hours of New Year's Eve. It's dark, it's bucketing down with rain, and there's water everywhere. We visited Kemang, one of those places where people were sent scrambling with little notice. It's one of the well-heeled, leafier neighborhoods best known for chic restaurants and nightlife. But even here, there was extensive flooding. The richer folks didn't talk with us, but those in the more modest homes, they did. They told us of their ordeal. Take Lemony, who, like many Indonesians, uses one name. She's the community head who oversees neighborhood watch, garbage collection, and other services. And she had to evacuate to a bank up the hill with about 150 other people.
Biasanya ya paling semeter. Ini paling tinggi sekarang kemarin itu.
Just this time, she said. Usually it's just 1 meter high.
Ya sembako ya lemari ya kulkas ya jembalitan 2 hari baru nyala.
All the food is off. Certainly anything in the fridge, which a week after the flood was still out of commission. All of the carpentry, all the cupboards, they're damaged too. Just 100 meters down the lane is Ia's. We enter her house and carefully step over clothes hung over armrests, furniture, anything to dry them in the hot, humid air. She worries about her husband, who's coughing in the next room.
Sering waktu 2007 dulu ini juga, tapi saya bilang paling parah ini. Karena nggak terselamatkan sama sekali nggak terselamatkan. Saya ngungsi di rumah Pak RT, kebetulan Pak RT om saya. Jadi saya nginep 3 hari. Benar-benar ini baru kali ini ya. Memang benar-benar luar biasa, nggak ada yang nggak ngungsi. Semua ngungsi.
The pair evacuated to her uncle's and waited for 3 days. She said not a single person stayed behind. That's the first time she could ever remember that happening. The entire neighborhood evacuated.
It feels like the people who are coming to you for help, they're from modest means. These are people without a lot. Can you describe who your clients are?
Yang mendaftar ke kami, tim advokasi banjir Jakarta itu ada 243 orang ya mengajukan diri sebagai korban. Sebetulnya sih ada 670 yang mendaftar by online ya, lewat email ke kami. Tapi kami verifikasi dari 670 orang itu hanya 243 yang lengkap datanya. Dari 243 itu mereka punya data semua. Mereka punya bukti foto segala macam. Mereka korban. Lalu mereka hitung apa saja kerugian mereka. Nah, total dari 243 orang ini kerugiannya sekitar 42,3 miliar rupiah. Itu hitungan masing-masing, bukan sama. Ya, korbannya itu ada rumah ya, rusakan barang-barang seperti meja, kursi, lemari, pakaian itu ya, seperti itu. Ada juga yang punya warung, ya tempat usaha warung sembako ya, jual beras, jual macam-macam itu juga hanyut. Ya, banjir, terbawa banjir, alat-alatnya juga begitu. Ada juga korban yang punya usaha konveksi kemarin waktu di pengadilan. Alat-alat konveksinya mesinnya juga hancur kan akhirnya kan. Karena air gitu. Seperti itu kerugiannya. Jadi kerugian sifatnya material. Itu.
Pak Tigor outlines the numbers behind the case. It's 243 confirmed participants out of 670 who applied, accounting for lost businesses, belongings like furniture, even entire houses. The damages total 43 billion rupiah, 3.2 million US dollars. But what are his chances of success? The last time Tigor filed a suit like this, back in 2002, it was dismissed on a technicality.
I have one last question. How likely is it that you will be successful? What's your likelihood of success?
Tujuan gugatan ini buat saya bukan menang kalah, mengalahkan Anies di pengadilan, bukan. Saya dengan teman-teman public lawyer lebih untuk mengakukan public education dan juga efek jerah buat pemerintah. Bukan cuma Jakarta. Jadi kesadaran buat masyarakat bahwa masyarakat itu punya hak yang harus diberikan oleh pemerintah. Kesadaran bahwa masyarakat itu harus benar-benar kalau memilih pemerintah, memilih gubernur, memilih pemimpin di daerahnya. Kedua, jadi efek jerah. Kalau jadi gubernur harus bekerja, jadi pemerintah tuh harus bekerja. Kalau tidak akan digugat, gitu loh. Dan kalau ini jalan bagus di Jakarta, itu juga akan dilihat oleh daerah lain, Bekasi, Banten. Oh, ternyata bisa pemerintah digugat. Oh, ternyata pemerintah tuh harus punya tanggung jawab. Dan kita bisa minta, kita punya hak itu sebetulnya. Jadi bukan menang kalah di pengadilan. Orang lihat nama saya mau daftar menjadi penggugat, itu sudah kemenangan. Udah ada kesadaran.
It's not winning or losing or beating the governor. It's about warning government not to take the people for granted and to remind voters they have rights. If a flood victim asks to apply to join the suit, that's sort of a victory in itself, Tigor said. And that's another episode of On the Level. Our producer is Stephen Handoko. Research and reporting by Imam Shofwan. Ismi Ufa is our graphic designer. Our music is courtesy of Poddington Bear. I'm Jeff Hutton. Thanks for listening.